SMS, by definition, are short messages. What if you want to include more information? The answer, I believe, is including links. You don't really want to have a massive long SMS. It's better to pique people's interest with a catchy message, and then if they want to find out more, then you can include a link. This is what it will look like on modern phones. This is a Google Pixel 4G, 5G. You can see that if I include a URL in the message, the Android operating system automatically shows this section here where I can tap to load a preview. If I do tap on the right-hand side, you can see what appears. It will show a relevant image from the website as well as the meta text at the top. That's pretty powerful because it means that rather than the message only being one line long, suddenly I've actually got quite a lot of content there, and it can be a lot more attention grabbing. The downside though is that as soon as you include links in your message, people start thinking that you're trying to take them for a ride. You get lumped in with all of the people that are doing some kind of dating scam, or they're trying to pretend that you've got a delivery that you haven't picked up. And you know that if you tap on any of those links, then they're going to try and steal your credit card information. Consumers are well aware of the danger now. They've probably been receiving 10 of these per day for the last couple of years, and they will therefore be a little bit reluctant to tap on your links unless you can do a few things to verify your identity and make sure that they're going to trust you. My tips are that you can probably do better if you use short URLs, but special kinds of short URLs. You don't want to send out a bit.ly link because that is going to be too generic and it's going to have you lumped in with all the spammers that are pretending to be DHL. You want the shortened URL because it's cheaper to send. That's the bottom line. That if you have a really long URL, it might be 50 plus characters, whereas a short URL will be only 15 characters. And the other reason is that with short URLs, you're able to track individual recipients. You can have basically the short URL will have some parameters that are mixed in where each URL will be unique per recipient. If you SMS out 1,000 people, each of them will have their own link, but it will still only be 15 characters. And the advantage of that is that you're able to track open rates and click-through rates. But you need it to be branded according to your company. Ideally, you would use your own domain name. You could do something like mycompany.co/ and then have a unique suffix at the end that you would dynamically generate these URLs. That can be hard to do though unless you have an accomplished IT team. There are services that will do branded URL shortening, and you probably want to go with them where instead of it being bit.ly /123 blah blah blah, it could be myco.short.co, something like that, where it has an abbreviation of your company name to help people to have some degree of trust in you. The second point, I touched on that a little bit. The real power of having links is not only that you can communicate more information, but you can also track what individual people are doing. You can see which contacts have opened your SMS, which of them have done the link preview by tapping on it, and which of them have actually then opened up the full website afterwards. In order to do that, you need a unique URL for every recipient. When you're sending out messages with links, one thing to be mindful of is that people need to know who you are in order to be willing to actually tap on a link. There are a couple of ways to establish authority. The first one is that if someone has taken some action on your website, for example, they filled out a contact form, and then you send them an SMS right away, there's a connection there. They're going to trust that that SMS came from you because it happened almost immediately after they filled out a form. If, however, they fill out a form and then 3 days later at an unconnected time, they get an SMS, they may have forgotten they filled out the form. They're going to be pretty skeptical, especially if the first SMS that you send includes a link. They might be thinking that you're another one of those spammers. that reason, ideally send the SMS immediately after they've taken some action that they're going to remember. And if you can't do that, then you might want to send an SMS establishing who you are, reminding them of how they know you. So your first message, if you're sending out to your existing customer base, but from a new phone number, you probably want to send a message without a link that says, "Hi, it's my name from the company," and hopefully they know who you are. And then after they get that message, the hope is that they'll save your number in their phone. And that means that when they get the message the following day, which does include a link, they'll be much more willing to tap on it to preview. The final point is that in order to get an informative preview, you need to set up your Open Graph metadata. You can see here that what I've got in the link preview here is actually not that relevant. The title of the page relates to sending an automated SMS after a missed call, but instead we've got some kind of blue, it's actually a D from the loading spinner of my page. That's actually it's a missed opportunity there. The image there could relate specifically to what the page was about. In order to do that, you need to set the Open Graph metadata for the page. You can either hand code the meta tags yourself, or ideally you would use a content management system for your website, which will make it easy to select an image for the link preview. You would have uploaded a number of images on the page, and one of them will be especially relevant to what the page is about, and you can use that as the Open Graph image. We're at the end of the video, and I want to answer one final question. Where should you put links? The answer is at the end. On Android, it doesn't seem to matter where you put links, but on iOS, it doesn't seem like links will render unless you put them as the very last point. So you don't even want to have reply stop to unsubscribe at the end. Instead, you would need to have that before the link. Otherwise, the link preview might not show. If you do all of those things, I reckon you're going to get lots of people clicking on your links and you'll get higher ROI from your SMS. All the best.